My friends, there are moments in life when heaven leans a little closer, when the whisper of God becomes so gentle and yet so powerful that it shakes the heart of someone connected to your destiny. Tonight, I want to speak to you about a message that angels are carrying, one that concerns the person God has chosen for your life. A message that reveals why your soulmate couldn't sleep last night, why their heart was restless, why their spirit was stirred. Sometimes heaven interrupts a person's peace because God is preparing them for something sacred, something life-changing, something that will eventually lead them straight to you. And when you hear the reason behind their sleepless night, it may very well bring tears to your eyes because it speaks of divine love, heavenly timing, and the supernatural connection that no distance, no delay, and no fear can break. Heaven stirred their heart last night in a way they did not expect, in a way that caught them off guard, in a way that revealed the truth they have been running from. When the world around them grew quiet and the noise of the day faded, something sacred began to move inside them. The angels say that what they felt was not ordinary emotion, not simple overthinking, and not a passing moment of nostalgia. It was the gentle yet powerful touch of God reaching into the deepest part of their heart, awakening feelings, memories, and realizations they could not push away anymore. They laid there in the stillness of the night, turning from one side to the other, wondering why they could not find rest. But heaven knew. Heaven had chosen that moment to stir something inside them that had been dormant for too long. As they stared into the darkness, thoughts of you rose like a tide they could not control. Your face, your voice, your kindness, your presence, all of it filled their mind with a warmth and a longing they had tried to silence. They remembered things they had forgotten. They felt emotions they had buried. They replayed conversations, moments of connection, and the unspoken bond that once felt so natural between you. It was as if their heart was waking up from a deep sleep, realizing suddenly that it had been beating for you the whole time. The angels say that God allowed this stirring because it was time for them to see what they could no longer ignore. In that sleepless night, something inside them shifted. They felt a weight in their chest, not of sorrow, but of conviction. They realized that the distance they tried to maintain was not peace. It was avoidance. They understood that every time they pushed you out of their mind, heaven brought you back in. Every attempt to move on only led them back to the same place, the same feeling, the same truth. Their heart recognized you even when their mind tried to deny it. And last night, heaven refused to let them rest until they acknowledged what has been written into their destiny. As they lay awake, their heart began to receive impressions, gentle whispers from heaven reminding them of who you are. They remembered your loyalty, the way you cared without asking for anything in return, the patience you showed even when they were confused. They felt the weight of your worth, not as a passing thought, but as a revelation. The angels stirred these memories so they could finally understand that you are not someone they can replace, not someone they can forget, not someone they can walk away from without losing something precious. And in that holy stirring, they also felt a longing that surprised them. It was not just emotional longing, it was spiritual. They felt a pull, a connection, an invisible thread drawing them back to you. It was the kind of stirring that happens when God begins aligning two hearts for His purpose. Their emotions were not random, they were being divinely awakened. Their restlessness was not anxiety, it was heaven's way of preparing them. Their sleeplessness was not discomfort, it was a sign that their heart was being softened and opened. The angels say that last night marked the beginning of something new within them. Their heart was touched by the hand of God, and that touch will not be forgotten. It will continue to grow, to press on them, to remind them of the truth they felt in the darkness. The stirring they experienced was the first step toward understanding the role you are meant to play in their life. Was the moment heaven decided that their heart must awaken to the love, the destiny, and the purpose connected to you. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world had finally settled and there was no distraction left to hide behind, your soulmate found themselves thinking about you in a way that felt deeper and more revealing than anything they had felt before. They began to see you not through the lens of their fears or past experiences, but through a clarity that only comes when heaven begins to touch the heart. The angels say that in that still moment, they finally realized your true worth. It wasn't just about remembering you, it was about understanding you, understanding your spirit, your loyalty, your strength, and the beauty of the love you carry within. They saw the way you cared, the patience you showed, the kindness you offered even when it wasn't reciprocated. They saw the quiet sacrifices you made, the emotional weight you carried silently, and the unwavering way you stood by them even when they didn't fully know how to stand by you. As they lay awake, a deep sense of appreciation began to grow inside them. It was as if heaven pulled back a curtain and allowed them to see you with fresh eyes. Suddenly, what they overlooked before became undeniable. They remembered the way you listened with sincerity, the way your words brought them peace, the way your presence made them feel grounded. They remembered how gentle your heart was, how forgiving your spirit was, and how your love never came with conditions. These things, which they once took lightly, now felt profound, valuable, and rare. They realized that people like you are not found every day, and that losing someone with your capacity to love would be losing something heaven sent. The angels say this realization struck them like a wave. They felt a mix of gratitude and sorrow, gratitude for having someone like you in their life, and sorrow for not recognizing sooner what you truly meant to them. They began to feel the weight of the moments they didn't appreciate, the conversations they brushed off, the signals they ignored, the love they didn't fully acknowledge. In that moment, they saw every aspect of your character more clearly than they ever had before. They understood that your value wasn't just in your gestures or your words. It was in your essence, in the goodness of your heart, in the purity of your intentions. You were a blessing that they had been blind to, not because you weren't shining, but because their own fears and confusion kept them from seeing the truth. As their heart awakened, so did a sense of accountability. They began to ask themselves why they had not treated you with the level of respect and honor you deserved. They wondered why they had kept you waiting, why they stayed silent when they should have spoken, why they hesitated when their heart already knew the truth. The realization of your worth made them recognize the weight of their own actions, and it humbled them. It made them see that you were not just someone who walked into their life. You were someone heaven appointed, someone whose presence carried purpose, healing, and grace. This understanding also awakened a deep fear within them, not out of panic, but out of reverence. They realized that people with a heart like yours are rare, and that once lost, such souls are not easily found again. They felt a sense of urgency, a gentle push from heaven reminding them that your worth must be honored, not overlooked, that your love must be cherished, not taken for granted, that your presence must be valued, not ignored. And so their sleepless night became a night of revelation. Heaven allowed them to see you not as a possibility, but as a treasure, not as an option, but as a blessing, not as someone ordinary, but as someone extraordinary, sent into their life to bring light, peace, and purpose. Their realization of your true worth became the turning point the moment their heart shifted, the moment they understood that what they feel for you is not common, not replaceable, and not accidental. As they lay awake in the stillness of the night, a sudden wave of fear washed over their heart. Fear not born from danger or confusion, but from the quiet and overwhelming realization that they might lose you if they didn't change. Fear was different from anything they had felt before. It wasn't the fear that paralyzes a person. It was the fear that awakens them. The angels say that in those silent hours, their spirit finally understood the consequences of their hesitation, their silence, and their emotional distance. They felt the weight of time slipping away, the weight of unspoken words, the weight of moments they let pass without telling you what you truly meant to them. They realized that the love they kept hidden, the affection they buried, and the connection they tried to downplay had all created a gap, one that could cost them the person God placed in their life. As they stared into the darkness, their mind kept circling back to the same truth. You could walk away. You could grow tired. You could let go. You could choose someone who sees your value immediately. And this possibility struck them deeply. They began to feel an ache in their chest, a heaviness they couldn't shake. It wasn't about jealousy or insecurity. It was about the sudden clarity that you were never obligated to stay. The patience you showed wasn't guaranteed forever. The love you offered wasn't something they could take for granted. Their fear came from understanding that their silence may have hurt you, that their hesitation may have pushed you farther than they intended, and that you might have cried yourself to sleep wondering if they still cared. In that moment, they replayed the times you waited for them to speak, the times you hoped they would choose you openly, the times you hinted at your feelings, praying they would meet you halfway. They remembered how your eyes carried questions they didn't answer, how your heart extended grace they didn't acknowledge. They realized that every day they remained silent, you were fighting to keep the connection alive on your own. And it dawned on them that someone with your capacity to love, with your patience and faithfulness, deserved someone who cherishes you loudly, not quietly. Someone who shows up, not hides. Someone who takes your heart seriously, not slowly. The angels say their fear deepened as they imagined a life where you moved on. They pictured someone else holding your hand, valuing your worth, celebrating your love, and appreciating every part of you they overlooked. That thought shook them. It made their heart race. It made them restless. They knew that if you ever walked away, it wouldn't be out of anger, it would be out of exhaustion. And losing you for that reason would haunt them. Their fear wasn't about losing control, it was about losing a blessing they never deserved to take lightly. As they continued to wrestle with their thoughts, heaven allowed their mind to drift into the future, a future without you. They saw emptiness in that vision, a silence that felt colder than any night they had ever endured. They felt regret rising like a flood, regret for every moment they didn't step forward, every feeling they didn't express, every chance they didn't take. They understood that love like yours doesn't return once it's lost. It doesn't wait forever. It doesn't beg to be seen. And this realization forced them to confront the truth. They were risking the one heart that had loved them genuinely. Their fear was a wake-up call, a trembling awareness that if they didn't act soon, God might close the door they kept ignoring. Angels touched their heart with urgency, pressing them toward courage, toward confession, toward healing. Fear became the beginning of their transformation. A fear that broke their pride, softened their spirit, and opened their eyes to the truth they had avoided. They understood, maybe for the first time, that your heart was not something they had a right to keep. It was something they needed to earn, honor, and protect. Their sleepless night became the moment they realized that losing you would be losing a part of their own soul. As they lay awake last night, unable to quiet their thoughts or rest their spirit, something extraordinary began to unfold within them. It wasn't imagination.